Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is John with Addicted to Fishing, and today we're going to talk about a newer bait from Berkley called the Berkley Finisher. So the little Berkley Finisher is a kind of a new bait on the market. I've been able to put a little time on it and can give you some honest feedback about it from my standpoint. I bought 3 different colors and I only bought one size to start out with. I've got a lot of pressured water and a lot of these more finessey baits seem to work well for me. This first one, they're called OG Blue. It's a blue back, kind of that silver sparkle prism colored to an orange belly. French Pearl. It's kind of that pearl all the way around. And then MF Fire Tiger. You're just your typical fire tiger. And one of the things to keep in mind here with these are a pretty light wire hook. They're Fusion, what Berkley calls their Fusion 19 hook on the, this is the size 5. You can see it there. It's stamped. I don't know if I can get it to focus a little better. It's a 5. Which is a 2-inch, 1/3 ounce, and they use a number 10 treble hook. The next size up is the 7. It's a 1/2 ounce, 2 3/4 inch, uses a number 7 treble, and then the 9 is a 3/4 ounce, 3.5 inch with a number 7 treble hook. Give you those treble hook sizes in case you bend them out or you want to replace them and you want to kind of keep more of what Berkley intended to have for the treble hooks. Some unique things that you can notice about this, and are going to be the same from bait to bait. Let me pull out. Let's see if I got one real easy to grab here. Okay, and you're going to kind of look at a lipless here. As you can see, the line tie itself is perpendicular to or goes right in line with the bait. Of course, this one puts a split ring on it. I haven't fished the Finisher with a split ring, but you'll notice how the line tie runs across the body, and that's done by design. I direct tie to that line tie. You could use a snap. You could use a split ring if you want, but I went out and fished it kind of just stock to see how it works. I threw it both on a spinning rod and a casting rod, both to see if anything was different. One thing I can say is with these smaller hooks, especially these little number 10 hook, is you definitely want, they're a light wire. You definitely want to use some lighter line. I was throwing it around on 12 pound, and I did stick a couple fish, and I didn't have any problems with it. But even here for a line tie, you can see on this tail spinner how the line tie is completely different. But anyway, guys, you can throw it on traditional bait caster. I was throwing it on, I think it's pretty much my jerk bait rod. But since I don't fish the jerk bait a lot, instead of just leaving that rod hang out, I throw a lot of my little paddle tail swim baits on it. You can throw spinner bait on it. It's a good multi-purpose rod. I think it's a medium heavy fast action. It worked really great. And then I threw it on pretty much like a shaky head rod. It works really well with 8-pound mono. And what you're going to do with this is it's heavy. You know, even though it's a little 2-inch bait, this is a 1/3 ounce. It sinks pretty much straight down. This is a bait that was designed for forward-facing sonar. But as you guys know, I fish off the bank. I wasn't looking forward to be a forward-facing sonar bait. When I started watching some of the initial videos that came out about the finisher. I was really intrigued about it. It's not a bait that you cast out and chuck and wind. You can do that. But what I like to do is throw it out, let it hit bottom, jerk it up off the bottom, just hop it just like you would a lipless. Or you can cast it out, just kind of stroke it, not letting it hit the bottom, just getting it down to that depth that you want it to be in. One of the cool things that I noticed in some of that clear water with kind of how this lip is shaped, or the mouth is shaped on this bait, you can fish it just like a jerk bait. And that's kind of how I was fishing it the last time I went out. And you're getting a lot of real erratic motions out of it. I kind of fish it more like a soft jerk bait where I keep a little slack line. And that bait literally is darting and going all over the place. It's turned back on itself. I didn't really get a lot of like upside down rolling on it. It pretty much stayed straight like you're supposed to. But again, it did a lot of that real hard jerking. And I mean, it would go way out, come way back. I can't get back far enough to show you, but I mean, it would go out 2 feet this way, then come back, do a little shimmy, good blow out the other way. And it was really giving a lot of this erratic motion, which replicates a dying bait fish really, really well. I didn't get to throw the fire tiger where I'm at. There's a lot of shad, so I was actually throwing the OG blue. Replicated the shad in the water really, really well. Caught a few fish on it. These Fusion 19 hooks are super sticky. You could go to another, and I thought I had a pack laying out, and I don't, but there's all kinds of other upgraded hooks that you could get, upgraded split rings. I didn't find a problem with these hooks or split rings. Keep in mind, when you're going to some of these finesse baits that have these lighter wire hooks, especially exposed treble hooks, you're not really looking to jack them. You just pretty much have to lean into them, and you stick them really well. All the fish that I was catching on them, they did have it pretty much T-boned. They were not the smaller bass variety. They were all good 2-3 pound bass, and they were completely like T-boning it. A couple, I had them all hooked with both sets of trebles. So I got a good hookup ratio on it. And again, I was just kind of leaning back into the bait, not really jacking it. Again, when I was throwing it out, I was working it like a fluke. I'd let it go out, let it fall, give it a pop, and it would start doing its dance and dive down, pop up. You can pretty much do anything that you want with it. There's a lot of good underwater video footage out there of this bait that shows you exactly what this bait's doing underwater. I think it's going to be a deadly bait for me going forward. It's definitely something I'm going to keep tied on or put into the rotation on a regular basis, especially now that we're getting into that late fall, early winter. I think it's going to be a great bait. It's going to be one of those ones where I'm still trying to power fish, but I want more of that dying shad motion out of a bait. And I really think it's gonna go right there with a jerk bait. And then when your water gets really cold, you're not going to be able to fish this like a jerk bait. It's not going to suspend. It's not just going to hang out. You can vertically jig this bait too. If you were in a boat, you come up over a brush pile. I could see this being a deadly white bass bait. Probably perch, probably just about anything out there. Walleye, sauger, sawguy. You can vertically jig it, just drop it down like a jigging spoon and just pop it. I was kind of doing that in the water where I had a little bit of a slight drop. I could only get it down about 2 feet right off the bank, but I was keeping it suspended above the bottom and just kind of popping a rod, seeing what it would do. And of course it was coming more up and out of the water because I was keeping it on a short line. But the more I would kind of play with it, not pop it as hard, I could get some of that erratic motion out of it. So it definitely does that, just dropping it straight down and jigging it. You can fish it just like you would a jigging spoon. You fish it just like you would a lipless by casting it out, letting it hit the bottom, popping it off the bottom, getting a shake. And this bait really, really, with the way that line tie is and that lip on the front, this bait really gets some crazy erratic motion out of it. Guys, I would highly suggest if that's something that you've been debating on getting, a Berkley Finisher is the way to go. I'm thinking definitely I'm going to pick up some 7s and some 9s at some point, just to give myself a little bit bigger profile. But again, in a lot of the places I'm fishing, they're pretty heavily fished. And this is something that I have not seen anybody, and I mean nobody in my area that I'm seeing is throwing these. I go up to a couple ponds. 90% of the people at these ponds are throwing a Cinco, and a Cinco, and a Cinco, and a Cinco. That's pretty much all I see them throwing. Matter of fact, they all told me if you're not fishing a wacky rig, you're not catching them. But I've been catching a lot of fish on anything other than a Cinco. So guys, it's just a real quick video on that little Berkley Finisher. Again, if you've been on the fence about buying one, it's a great little bait to add to your arsenal. I would definitely recommend picking them up. Again, you can cast it out and fish it like you do a fluke or a jerk bait. Just kind of rip it, pop it up off the bottom, fish it suspended. If you want to get over top of a brush pile and fish it vertically, you can do that. If you happen to have a boat and you have the technology, you have forward-facing sonar. These are forward-facing sonar maximized, so it gives you that signal back off that beam that's put out from that forward-facing sonar. But again, you don't need the forward-facing sonar. You just walk down the bank and check these out and fish them, and you're gonna wreck them. Anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I greatly appreciate that. We're climbing in subscribers. It just helps me know that I'm engaging people, especially when you guys give that feedback. I don't care if it's negative feedback, positive feedback. You think I'm trying to do something that I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just trying to give you guys my way of doing things. Maybe help you save a few bucks, show you some techniques maybe you haven't been fishing. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you clicking on the video. We'll see you in the next one.